This is the first time I haven't had something to pick out of my garden since 2019. The cold weather completely destroyed it, so it was time to redo it. First thing I'm doing is I'm taking all of the lettuce plants and mustard plants back behind there, and I'm just chopping them up and mixing them directly into the soil. This will help feed the soil life, worms, bacteria, and all that kind of stuff. And all this stuff will be gone within a couple of weeks. I like to dig it down very, very deeply and completely so that it's covered up as best as I can get it covered up. Like I said, the worms and stuff will break it down, and I'll end up with free worm poop out of the deal, so that's okay, I guess. Next thing I'm going to do is add a layer of compost. I'm putting about a half a bag on per barrel, and that's giving me about an inch of fresh compost in each one of these barrels. Now, that's my own seeds, Russian frill kale. This is spinach, and that is Russian frill kale. The first one, I guess, was red Russian kale. Now, I'm not a big believer in seed starting mix. I personally think it's kind of a scam. It gets a lot of people into trouble because they forget to fertilize, they have to transplant and all that kind of stuff. I'll put this directly into the compost, and this stuff will grow just fine. I won't have to worry about it, provided that the weather doesn't get it again. These are the green onions I planted in my green onion garden hack video. They got beat up pretty good too. The bulbs should probably be okay. Green onions or onions, in fact, that whole family is very hardy as far as cold tolerance goes. But I decided I'd just cut all of them down to the ground, not worry about which ones are good and which ones are bad and all that stuff. I'll cut everything down, and as long as the bulb is okay, it should be fine. Now, I had all these onions left over from last year. They were just really, the ones that came out were really small, and I just held on to them. I'm not overly concerned about getting big onions out of this bed. This is more for green onions, and hopefully get some seeds out of the deal. They should, because they're on their second year, they should flower for me at some point and provide me with onion seeds, and I will plant those the following year. Now, just like on the other side, I'm just covering this up with a fresh layer of compost, except this time I put the seeds underneath, or the onions underneath. Now, these other two beds, I just treated them like I did the others. I just chopped up whatever plants were in there and mixed it into the soil and added a layer of compost. I got seeds coming in the mail, and I'll transplant, or I won't transplant, but I'll put those seeds in to the system. Now, this little area here had some cilantro in there, and it was basically done anyway. And I was gonna leave it, but I decided, I need some cilantro. I'll get that planted. I mixed in some of my own compost this time, just kitchen scraps, worm poop, and that type of stuff. Again, I'll dig it in and get it spread in good. Now, check this out. I'm using store-bought coriander seeds, 99 cents for that whole bag. And if they sprout, I will never buy cilantro seeds from a seed vendor again, because at 99 cents for a big old bag of this stuff, hey, you can't hardly beat it. I'm just making sure that everything is covered up good, and I'll post a video to see if they actually, how they do. Now we're over to the aquaponics. I had to turn this off because I was afraid that the siphons would freeze and I would possibly lose all my water, because this is a sumpless system. which is one of the downfalls to something like this, is it doesn't really offer the fish protection against something like a freeze, and I've had it happen before. Now these fava beans also, look at that, those are the fixed nitrogen nodules that fava beans will create for you in the root system. I think that's pretty cool. But these guys were just thriving. I mean, they had reached all the way up to the lights, and it is a real disappointment that they didn't survive. But we haven't had temperatures like that in a long time. I took them over to my this was my cabbage bed, and before that it was garlic. But I'm just gonna dig them in and let them break down. The soil life will break it all down and create conditions good for growing. And I'm gonna plant eggplants in this bed in the spring. I found about 8 garlic plants growing in there because this was a garlic bed beforehand, and I decided, you know, I need to add some plants to the aquaponic system. I have these garlic plants. The ground was still frozen because I couldn't put them in the ground yet, so I decided, you know what, I'll just stick them in here in the aquaponic system. They're already stratified, so they should turn into actual garlic bulbs. But we'll see how it goes. I'll post. I'll definitely be posting how they're doing during harvest, and we'll see maybe a little bit beforehand. Later on in the summer, though, or in the spring, this will be mostly tomatoes again. Tomatoes did really well in this system last year. I got probably 100 pounds of tomatoes out of my little aquaponic system here. It was pretty amazing. So that's me getting my beds ready, fixing the damage from the cold. If you get something out of the video, like, share, and subscribe, and have a great day.